And we're live. Welcome to another high vibe conversation. I'm your host, Chelle Shapiro, and this week is book launch week. Yay! This is the launch of High Vibe Conversations. It's our second collaborative book together. And this book is really all about the conversations that we were blessed to be hosted by Terry Earthwind Nichols, who is sitting right next to Linda in the center of your screen right here. So we're really excited to celebrate the launch of this book with you, to share some of our more exciting moments, and to celebrate each other. So, welcome everyone to this high vibe conversation. We've got some guests waiting to bring them on as well. And I just want to go ahead and say, Terry, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for hosting the initial high vibe conversations that we had together. It was so important for you to witness us, not just in our transformation journeys, but like in each of the different conversations and areas where we just like dove right in. You held space for us, you supported us, and you literally like kept the conversation going to bring it to the world. So we are so grateful to have you here with us for this launch. And I understand you have the book with you, ready to reveal it. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and reveal it whenever you're ready.
Well, I'm Ambassador Terry Earthwind Nichols, and I was the host for the majority of the show, like Chelle just said. And I was really honored to do so because you have a fabulous group of women here who have very high vibe conversations that are relevant, they're on point, and they're very clear. And I'm sure your audience feels the same. I know I do. I'm still watching you guys, even though not a participant anymore, but I still watch. And it's just been very fun to do this whole thing. And thank you all for helping me do that. Now, I have a package here, and supposedly it has the book in it. We haven't opened it yet, so that could be embarrassing. We'll just have to see. So here's the big reveal.
What you got?
Ooh. No embarrassment. We made it.
We have liftoff.
Yay!
Oh, it turned out good.
It's gorgeous.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so cool.
Very lovely. Let me get this. There's better.
Yay!
Yeah.
We get the confetti.
Right? Yeah.
Woohoo!
Delightful. Thank you again for doing that. And thank you guys for allowing me to do the big reveal. That was very cool too.
Yeah. And that's really a second book for all of us. We started out with Jennifer Beets and Alexandra Enke, and we did our first book, which is right here. And this was High Vibe Women with Hearts, stories of genuine conversations. So you can find those over at Genuine Conversations channel on YouTube. So it's JEN-U-INE. And then Terry, when he did the 15 with us, they're over on Terry's YouTube channel, Terry Earthwind Nichols. And then Chelle has hosted, and you'll find them on YouTube, Chelle Shapiro, Career Success Coach. Right, Chelle?
That's correct. And actually, you don't even need that last part anymore now that I've got my customized YouTube handle, which I went ahead and selected yesterday. So now, literally, if you just type in Chelle Shapiro, I should come right up. You don't need to have all the other stuff attached to it anymore. So that's been pretty exciting. Terry, while we have you here in our presence, I want to ask, and this is on the back of the book as well, too. Like, you were asked to describe each of us in one word. And so you went and you beautifully described each of us. how did you come up with those words for each of us? Like, what did you have to like think about or like tap into in order to be like, oh yeah, that's the word that very well describes this woman?
Well, some people call me a pretty spiritual guy. So,
Oh.
and I'm often quoted as presence is the point where manifestation becomes action. You take away the anxiety of the past and the fear of the future, and all you have is right now. And when you go deep inside in the now, I just allowed whatever to come up as I had a mental picture of each one of you. And that's how you got motivated and Dorrit got grateful, and it just went from there. They just came out. And, you know, like Linda talks about the soul, I'm sure that's where it came from, is deep down in there. And it's always a surprise to do that because I have no clue what's going to come up. I just allow whatever's going to be there to be there. And so I'm always surprised.
Which is your intuition, right?
Yeah.
You just connected with everybody and nailed it. Love it.
Was there ever any like hesitation of like, well, it could be this word for this person, or it could also be this one, and then really like having to be like, nope, it's this one. I'll go with my gut.
Definitely all could have had.
Well, yeah. Being as deep as I was, I knew the first thing that come up was it, and the rest of it was just noise. So I didn't even regard anything else that came up. So I really like them. I think they describe you guys really well.
Yeah. The motivated word for me is so spot on. It could not be anything else, really. And I think about this several times a week that it comes to mind. And when I hear other people and what their motivations are, and I always come back to, well, what's my driving force? What motivates me? So it's interesting that I'm so tapped into that you were able to pull that out and harness that word for me. Ladies, I want to open up the floor to you for a moment. What's coming up for you when you think about the way that Terry was able to see us, hear us, and hold space for us? And how accurate was he in describing you with one word?
Can I jump on this? Because I'm super, super inspired.
I was thinking you already did jump on this.
Yeah, because what comes to me is that the way that I mentally and emotionally and spiritually prepared for being with all of you was being present with the way that each one of you inspire me. And that's what you brought up, Terry. So like Dorrit, you inspired me to be unapologetical, like especially around conversations around sexuality. That's what came to me. Like I'm so grateful and I appreciate you so much for being you and sharing the way that you do. Stina, you inspire me to connect with my children. And it's so concrete the way that you give examples and how I can do it. And Linda, you inspire me to love myself first. Oh. And in moments when I start shaming myself, I just know that you will pull me right out and into love and back into my soul. So, and Chelle, you inspire me to self-care, and not just self-care, but find the clarity to step into decisions from that space. So it's all so aligned. Thank you so much, Terry, for holding space for us and witnessing us.
Thank you.
All right.
Lovely.
Yeah, very cool.
I can jump in. Take the Scandinavians first.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I got the word grateful, and for me, that's kind of a big thing. I really started to use gratefulness, if I can call it that, after my 7 years of being burnt out and ill, and I was so depressed, and I didn't find any joy or there wasn't anything positive in my life. I just saw obstacles and negativity and fences. So when I started the change, I had to really look and search my brain for those little things that I could be grateful for, like I can breathe fresh air. I can see. I don't have to go to the shop to get milk today. Like it was so simple things that I could list. I didn't find anything bigger at the time. But the thing with gratefulness is that when you start looking and you start kind of seeing them and acknowledging them, they multiply. And all of a sudden there is more and there is more. And there is like, oh my goodness, and that has kind of snowballed into a lot of great things happening for me. And one of the biggest is meeting you all guys and the journey that we've been on. It's been transformational. And that's why I'm always like, from my heart, I'm so grateful. So thank you.
And we didn't have guests when we were working with Thierry, and so we had guests. What is it? The second and the fourth Thursdays of the month, and so you just really blessed Dallas Rose McSeveny with what you said, Dorrit, because that's what she teaches. She has a whole course on gratitude, and she's actually going into corporations with it. And so it's just been super exciting to see the almost like the ripple effect of like what we're doing and what we're sharing, and then what people are stepping into in their own worlds and creating even a bigger ripple effect. And so I got passionate, and I am so passionate about getting the world like back to sanity. And I just always my radar is always up for who else is out there doing that. And so energetically, was vibing you guys in was just, it was so touching for me. That's why I am so consistent and passionate with you all in getting your message out, even if your lives are really tough at the moment, you can't even think straight. And it was interesting because I basically in the last 48 hours have had what you guys generally go through, and just can't get grounded and whatever. And so I just thank you guys for hanging in there, and I'm so proud of all of us for being so consistent and slowing things down in our own lives so that we can create that ripple effect in the world. And I know all of you are passionate to see the world change as well.
One of the things that that I am very grateful for, besides all of you, and the excitement for this book launch, and the conversations that we have and get to keep having, is that we've transformed, not just behind the scenes, not just off screen, off camera. Like, we are transforming and going through stuff sometimes right here on the screen with everybody. Like, we haven't prepared any scripts. There's no like conversation ahead of time to be like, all right, what's coming up for you? What are you going to talk about? We just go in. Yeah, we put out posts ahead of time to lead up to it. So there's like an inkling of like, we know what's coming up for us, but we haven't necessarily discussed it with anybody else. So anything that comes up during these conversations is super real and authentic, to say the least. But it's like any emotions that are coming out that we're feeling, that anything that's triggering us, like there's no hiding it, because we don't know what's coming next. It's so unfiltered and real that it just creates this great sense of like, oh shit, like anybody who's watching, I feel this too. Like I feel this person, I hear what they're saying, and we've created it this way on purpose to have these transformations and for the world to see it and to witness us. So it's something that I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do it, not just by myself, but with a community, with a circle of people who are doing it too, because it just brings that and amplifies that support, which leads me to some of our greatest champions and supporters who are sitting backstage right now, just waiting on pins and needles for us to bring them on. Did you have
Chelle? We missed Stina on hers. So
I didn't. I was waiting to see if she was going to unmute, and I didn't want to.
I can wait if you want to bring guests on. I can wait.
It's open-minded is Stina.
She is being very open-minded and holding space for us. But no, I was absolutely waiting to see if you were ready. And yeah, so if
I'll just always open my mouth and take over the whole rest of the time we have. So I practice waiting so that everyone can talk. And then I'll be like, okay, you got like 5 minutes, Stina. I have recently like been on walks, and someone will pass me on like a golf cart or walking, and I have this innate urge to like get to know every human. Like I want to know their story. I want to know about them and like hear their experiences. And I have this channel in my human design that's about penetrating people's auras. And some people find it really off-putting because it is kind of exposing. A lot of people aren't comfortable being seen and held and heard and understood at that level. But when someone does allow themselves to open up and share with me, a lot of times what comes out, like with my clients, is stories they've never told someone or things that they don't even think are relevant to the work that we're doing. And it always ends up being the best part of what they have to say. So for me, being open-minded is like, I get to like collect all of these experiences and this wisdom and like understanding of how different every human is. And it's really challenging in a world that wants to be very, very polarized on everything. Because I would love to see a world where we each get to be living our best lives and be in alignment with what we believe and our truths and have relationships that are really rich for us. And at the same time, set up community and collaboration and ways of being in the world with other people that also allow them to do the same. And so being open-minded for me is like holding all of these kind of opposing ideas. And it's more than just playing devil's advocate. It's like really seeing and understanding that everyone gets to where they're at with like, there's a reason, there's a story there, none of us, truly most of us, there's a very small percentage of the population that is truly like incapable of having a sane and sensible world perspective, but like we all have a reason for how that has been shaped. And I think the more we understand each other's stories, the more compassion and like cooperation we can have, to where I can hold myself and my beliefs and my stories and also fully respect your humanity at the same time. So I love that part of like open-mindedness and hopefully bringing people together with better communication, relationships. And yeah, that's what excites me and what I see about being open-minded in the world.
That's so beautiful, Stina. Thank you for sharing what that word encompasses and means to you. And it just sheds that like extra insight into who you are as a human. So I love the way that you described it and the way that you have this curiosity to uncover somebody's story and get to know them on that deeper level. a lot of time, and I'm gonna take it off track for like the book purposes for just a second. A lot of times you and I share in our DMs like separately before and after, and like I always feel like, who's gonna appreciate this? Like, and I just have these juicy conversations with you, these side conversations that are like, only Stina would appreciate this, or like, I want to have this moment. And like I shared last week, and I was like, TMI, but like I'm writing this while I'm in the shower because it's just so juicy and I don't want to wait to tell you, right? And I was like, I like, who else is gonna appreciate that moment of like, yep, I'm doing this, whether you're here for it or not. And I never expect you to like respond right away, or like to have that same energy that I do, but like you meet me where I'm at every single time, and you do it in a way that's so considerate of whatever it is that I'm navigating, good, bad, ugly, anywhere in between. And I love having those side conversations with you because they're so juicy. So thank you for being open-minded to let me share in those very like unconventional shower thought ways. So now I'm going to pivot back to the book, as I squirrel brain and often do. And I want to bring on one of our guests who's been waiting patiently down there. John, are you ready for us? I think you are, but I'm going to bring you up either way. So here we go. John Chapelier has been one of our greatest supporters throughout all of these high vibe conversations. We are so excited to have John here to celebrate with us. Welcome, John, to the High Vibe Conversations book launch.
Thank you very much. Looks like I've perfectly gotten my face into the shadows, so I'm glad I was able to do that after a lot of work today. It's funny, I'm listening to you guys talk, and my book came out in 2004. And everybody looked at me like, are you out of your mind? What has gratitude, love, forgiveness, any of these issues have to do with business? And it's amazing that it is an intimate part of good leadership to be able to connect with on a, as Linda would say, on a soul to soul basis, to be able to get people encouraged and committed and excited about working. And here we are after in the midst of this great recession. Let me tell you a little side story. I've got a young guy here. We just moved into a new house, which is why this backdrop is so beautiful. And I've got a young guy here who's probably in his early 30s, who's working on the house for me, doing all kinds of things. And I talked to him a little bit, and his father owns a large printing company here in the city. And he just decided that he and his wife weren't going to have any kids, and they were both saving up money, and they just decided they weren't going to wait till they were 70 so they could start enjoying their lives. And I kept talking to him about, well, what's going on and why is it? And he's just, my dad can't get anybody to come to work, and he can't get them to stay. And when they're here, they don't work. And so we sort of talked about what the onboarding process is and what the connection levels are between the different layers of performance. I used to own a print brokerage firm, so I understand the printing industry very well. And it's amazing how the things that I wrote about 2004, which of course were based on my experiences of running companies back in the previous century when I was somewhat younger. And it is just amazing how the things that everybody looked at me and went, are you out of your mind? Are so relevant. Were so relevant then, are so relevant now. I mean, Linda and I just did a post yesterday or the day before, which had to do with when I was coming up, the first business I worked in, the leadership was a fantastic teaching environment because it taught me how not to be a leader. It taught me how not to be a manager. So anytime I got in a situation, I thought, well, what would they have done? I'd just do the opposite. And my business doubled every year for the next 5 or 6 years based on simply learning how not to do something. So teaching is an opportunity, whether it's a good teacher or a bad teacher. I'm sure Jenny can vouch for that. The experiences that you've had, if you absorb them as a learning experience, you don't repeat them. You just don't. You learn, you move on, and you let it go. So the thing that was for me is I felt like I came home when I was first in this environment talking with you. Besides intimidated, intimidated is the first word that comes to my mind. And then coming home is the second and third words that come to my mind. And that I finally ran into people who understand the value of building community. I mean, community to me is the people who have a commonality of focus. That's it. A community is the people who have a commonality of focus. So if I can do that in my family, in my children, in my coworkers, it works everywhere. That's the way, that's how love is defined in the Daily Six, is understanding the needs of others and treating those needs as important as mine, not more important, and certainly not less important. So, everybody can come in and everybody can be treated and accepted at the level to which they want to be, or not want to be. I get very frustrated sometimes with the level of vitriol that seems to be rolling around in the country right now. And I feel very, I'm just one guy here, waving a flag of don't forget about kindness, kind of thing. And sometimes it feels like, yeah, why don't you just put the kindness flag at half mast? Because that's kind of where everybody's thinking right now. So I would love, every time I get with you guys, it just makes me smile. I was sitting backstage and I'm just smiling because I'm looking at these faces and I'm thinking, yeah, these guys are all taking this message and spreading it out to as many people as possible. And to me, that's all I can do. All I can do is bring my belief system out there. I'm not trying to talk you into anything. I'm just trying to live my life in a way that attracts you to a point where you say, well, I don't know what you're doing, but you seem to be peaceful and calm and successful. What are you doing? Because I would like to do that too. And that works much better to be an example rather than be a promoter. And it's also more peaceful to be an example rather than a promoter. So it's lovely seeing all of you again today, with the possible exception of Terry. And it's sorry, Terry. But that's it. I mean, it's just wonderful, and to see everybody and to sort of get an understanding of what you're like. I was just saying to Linda this morning that I want to send Dorrit a picture of my new dog, which is clearly we found him on the street coming home at last Christmas, and he looks like a combination between a boxer and a tiger. So, I don't think it's a crossbreed, miracle. I think it's just some sort of hound from the pound. But he's the sweetest boy in town, and he always looks like he wants to try and do the right thing and be in the right place. And that's how I'd like me to live. I'd like to be trying to do the right thing and trying to do these things. So if I can I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to work towards some sort of an image of myself that allows me to feel really good about my efforts today. Not next week, and I can't worry about last month. It's just today, So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. If anything, if you need any more filler, just call me back.
Well, certainly I don't think of it as filler, John, because we love having you join us. And if I think back to the live where you joined us as our special guest for the week, something that I always come back to, and I do this with clients, I do this with my friends now, I've done it with family members, whenever they're going through something, and then they're like, I just don't know what to do next. Like, what do I do with all of this? And I'm like, well, I think of you, and I'm like, well, do you want to accept it, change it, or leave it? Like, what's within your control right now? Like, what do you like about it? What can you let go of? And so just having those conversations with you, and maybe being able to reflect back on that discussion where I learned those techniques and now can bring it to other people is one of the greatest teachings I've received. And to do so on a high vibe conversation makes it even more powerful. So thank you, John, for joining us, for allowing me to absorb some of your knowledge and wisdom, and for providing some filler and entertainment and celebration for us today, because certainly it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.
So yeah,
everybody,
so next up,
thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chelle. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
I'm gonna keep John in the audience down there while I bring Sushma up. Sushma, you've actually been watching in the wings on the sidelines for quite some time now. You are such a supporter of us and our conversations from week to week. We love seeing you. We love reading your comments and interacting with you. And it's such a joy to get to know more and more about you. I know we haven't had a one-on-one conversation just yet outside of the DMs, and I look forward to doing that hopefully in the near future. But in the meantime, we love having you here to celebrate with us. So welcome, Sushma. Let's celebrate together. I feel like I need to drop some more confetti, but I want to hear what you have to say first, and then we'll do it.
So thank you so much, Team High Vibe. It's for me personally, it's been just a couple of months with all of you, and I think it's been 4 months, and it started with Jenny. I fortunately found her, and I connected with her, and slowly, as time passed on, I had more conversations with her, and then I connected with you and with Linda, and I have been in a way speaking with all of you. And for me, this entire team has opened up a lot of space to admit my own emotions and my own thoughts, and I think this is a great platform which has been giving me that freedom, so that I could allow myself to hold space for myself and feel those things. And it's been great to realize that, and to have this observation that emotions and thoughts, they're the things, they do not differentiate among people on the basis of their profession, their location, their age, or their background, their cultures, or anything. I have had my own personal experiences of all kind of positive and negative life events and emotions following them. And I have come to understand that despite all the success in the past life I have had so far, I'm not too old yet, but still, the time which I have had, I have seen lots of phases in my life. And it was a huge coming to terms with life when I really realized that success is really not something which brings fulfillment or happiness or joy in life. And it took a lot of inner work which I have done on myself, with help of a lot of people from my life and some people here as well. This gave me this final closure in this phase of life, where I could see that happiness is truly connected to being authentic to yourself, being who you are. And that is something which I was trying to find all my life, and it was never replaced by all of my accomplishments, my successes, and my rewards, and all the goalposts I was chasing throughout my life. Uh, Throughout the work I have done on myself, I did see the glimpses of overcoming those limiting beliefs. But eventually, when I found this community, I could really start to relate and validate this idea that this is something which is a all pervasive feeling, and it's a all present, omnipresent way of life, which probably we as human beings we have learned and we have evolved, and further we have the responsibility to take it forward to the humanity. And Team High Vibe has been doing that, so that has been quite amazing to witness. And in future, I do look forward to being a part of this family. And yeah, that's my story, and those little 2 cents of my life towards Team High Vibe. And I congratulate all of you for the book launch as well.
That is confetti worthy. Let's do that right now before I stray too far. Let's do it. Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I do love a good celebration moment. And certainly today is filled with that. Thank you so much, Sushma, for seeing us as we are
Thank
and
you.
for allowing yourself to go through whatever you need to go through right along with us. You've been doing that kind of in tandem with us as we have all these conversations from week to week. And I know I've popped into your DMs a little bit after each one to be like, what'd you think of that?
Yes.
Like, how did we what was coming up for you? And sometimes it's to reflect on the brilliant comments that you leave for us while we're actually live, and sometimes it's just literally to connect soul to soul and be like, all right, how did you feel about that? Like, what else do you want to hear more about? And so I love getting to or just beginning to scratch the surface with you on having more of these conversations together. And it's a beautiful thing to hear that you've been able to relate to us and to work
Absolutely.
through what you're working
Absolutely.
through and share your experiences now with us too. So welcome to, and I love that you called us Team High Vibe. I love that. Welcome to Team High Vibe. So thank you for being here. And I'm going to drop you back down into the audience, at least briefly.
Thank you.
And yeah. Jenny, I want to just divert to you really quick because I know that you are the originator of the connection with Sushma, and so that has allowed us to bring her into this high vibe tribe, if you will. So when you hear Sushma share, when you hear John share, what's coming up for you? Because I just see your faces radiating all this joy right now, and I want to just let it spill out.
It's the genuine connection and the authenticity from them showing up. And I really have been just enjoying this moment so much that I feel like I want to take it all in and cherish it in my heart, and then I will get back to you, Chelle. But I appreciate Sushma and John so much. Let's, Dorrit, continue, because I'm just taken by the moment.
I see Sushma as our #1 fan. That has been so much fun.
What was coming up for me just now, Jenny, as you shared about taking it all in, and I immediately was like, I want to let it all out. I don't want to keep it all in. I want to and we each experience it in our own way, and I think that's beautiful. I was thinking about one of Alexandra's teachings and swamping my feelings. And even though they're not negative feelings, they're very glorious, happy feelings right now. And I'm like, I just want to dance all over the place and just shout it from the rooftops. So I feel like I'm externalizing those same emotions that you're taking in and absorbing right now. And so I felt like I needed to draw some parallels there, bring some of our previous high vibe women into that conversation, because we still hold space for them in whatever they're doing right now. And also mentioning, I think it's worth mentioning Jennifer Beets, who brought us all together in the first place to start having these conversations, which all stemmed from just a weekly private Zoom call to share our thoughts and to hold space for one another and to talk about things in a way that felt supportive and safe. So would we be here had it not been for Jennifer? I don't know. Maybe in some weird organic way we would have come together, but certainly I don't forget these women that have been part of us and continue to be part of us. So thank you to Jennifer and Alexandra, wherever you are today in the world. And thank you to Sushma and John for being cheerleaders in the moment with us right now. To anyone else who is watching or catching the replay of our book launch celebration, I know Carl's joined us a little bit. He said, what an amazing group of awesome people. We are so thrilled to share this moment with you and hope to have more high vibe conversations going forward. We've got a lot more amazing guests coming up in the upcoming weeks. Anything coming up for you, Linda and Terry, as I've now probably provided so much filler, way more than John.
You're both doing great. So this was the original book, High Vibe Women with Heart, Stories of Genuine Transformations. And everybody's personal story is in this book, but that's us. And we weren't even on live. We were on Zooms. And so I'm going to just read the authors. Chelle Shapiro believes our work environment needs to be more understanding of those little things that make a huge difference in our personal lives. Her famous mantra is loving yourself isn't selfish. Jennifer Beets believes in leading from the heart and that our answers are within. Her famous mantra, shatter your limiting beliefs and live an empowered life. Alexandra Enske enjoys leading people into oneness. Her famous mantra, I am always full of love. I shine my light into the world and help others to do the same. The lighting's low here and the print is tiny. Dorrit Carlson learned me first the hard way and now enjoys helping others improve their lives. Her famous mantra, it's the little things that matter. And FYI, Dorrit, I love the way you say the word little. It gets me every time. It's just so cute. And it's so little. Stina Marie started out life as the good girl, living up to everyone else's standards. Her famous mantra, scrap the pattern and design your own life. And she did. Jenny Langren believes and teaches that love is a choice and knows firsthand that when we don't choose us first, we can't give as much to others. Her famous mantra, a person's vulnerability is a gift. Let's treat it as such. And then I guess, I don't know if mine's here. Yeah. So mine is, my famous mantra is walk at the level of your fully embodied soul, which means like Terry says, make decisions with your heart, use your soul, your intuition for counsel, and your brain for storage. And I add in temporary storage, especially ladies, just dump it out on paper. You got enough up in your heads, stay out of there. So I wanted to add that for us.
For me, the journey has been very rewarding because it has allowed me to touch from a spiritual standpoint, each of you inside, and learn about things about you that is very heartfelt and personal. You're part of my tribe too. It's just been great, and thanks again for allowing me to be part of it.
We love having you join us. We miss you being our host, but I feel like I've taken the reins of that a little bit to fill your shoes. So I'm happy to continue doing so. But if you ever want to co-host with me, we can make that happen. Putting that out there. Next book in the works, maybe. You never know what's going to come up for us, right? So we're all doing amazing things in the world. We are all going to continue sharing them so outwardly as we process things inwardly. And I love having you here joining us from week to week. So thank you to everyone who has shown up, who has held space for us, who has supported us, and who has opened yourselves up to your own transformations, whatever they may be. We are here. We love you. We support you as well. Feel free to reach out and connect with us either on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever your platform of choice is. We're there. And tune in next week for another high vibe conversation. Oh, and don't forget to grab our book, now available on Amazon. I will share the link in the comments. That's what it looks like, folks. So if you want to know what this group of women has to share and how we support and hold each other and hold space for one another to grow, then you don't want to miss the conversations in this book. High Vibe Conversations on Amazon. You can grab your copy right now. Until next week, we'll say bye for now.